Please leave. Please leave. I am not okay with this. Please leave my job.
3 businesses, 6 kids, 1 restraining order that wasn't worth the paper it was printed on. Shantae Butts was out here doing everything right. Working, hustling, documenting, reporting. And she still ended up dead. So if you think following the rules keeps you safe, let me tell you a story that's going to change your mind. Now, some of y'all might remember Shantae from TikTok. She was the one making comedy content about her ex, calling the series All Deadbeat Daddy, and starring none other than Little Mac Williams. Yeah, that's his government name, Little Mac, like the video game character, except this man wasn't winning any championships. Nah, he was out here collecting restraining orders like they were Pokemon cards. Gotta violate them all, apparently. But Shantae, she wasn't just another woman trying to survive. This woman was a whole force of nature. She talked openly about being adopted as a child. And if you know anything about the foster care system, you know that leaves scars. She explained it like this.
So I'm 30, finna be 31, and I was adopted as a child. Between adopted and foster, I don't think people know this, is when you adopted, you belong in that family. So therefore, the state can't come and take you out of that household. Now, if you fostered, you could just get taken at any moment whenever the person choose to get a child.
You hear that? That's somebody who understood abandonment from the jump. But instead of letting that break her, she turned that pain into fuel. This woman was running 3 businesses. 3. Let me break it down for you. First, she worked as a home health aide. Now, if you've never done that job, let me paint the picture real quick. You're wiping grown people's behinds, lifting adults who weigh twice what you weigh, getting cussed out by somebody's grandparent who don't even remember your name. And for what? Maybe $15 an hour if you're lucky. It's one of the hardest, most disrespected jobs out there. But Shantae would clock out from that and go run her cleaning business called Polish by Shay. Then, because apparently this woman didn't believe in sleep, she had a whole other business making these bougie floral arrangements with liquor bottles. We're talking Crown Royal roses, Hennessy bouquets, turning bottles into art and making money off it. That's not just hustle, that's creativity meeting grind. And on top of all that, she was building her social media presence, talking real talk to other mothers out here struggling. She posts stuff like,
so I honestly feel like I don't get paid enough to babysit. I don't give a fuck if they is my own kids. Pay me. I gotta miss work to take care of the kids. Pay me. I gotta miss an event to be with my kids. Pay me. Period.
Now that right there, that's not complaining. That's her taking the exhaustion every parent feels but won't say out loud and turning it into content that other women could relate to. She wasn't just being a mom, she was letting the world know that motherhood is labor and labor deserves compensation. She was monetizing the struggle while keeping it 100. But here's where things get messy. The star of her comedy show, Little Mac Williams, was the father of her youngest children. And this man had a criminal record longer than a CVS receipt. I'm talking pages. And Shantae was putting all his business out there for the world to see. Now I'm gonna say something, and some of y'all might get in your feelings about it, but hear me out. Was she playing with fire? Yeah. Does that mean she deserved what happened? Hell no, not even close. But when you're dealing with a man who has shown you repeatedly that he handles his problems with violence, maybe TikTok isn't the therapy session you think it is. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. She had every right to tell her truth. The real question we should be asking is why he had the right to be walking around free in the first place.
Get back. Get back. Move, bro. Move. Get back. Get back. No, I'm not. Get back. Please move from my car.
Let me take you through Little Mac Williams' greatest hits. And by greatest hits, I mean his criminal record. Because Palm Beach County's justice system, calling it a justice system is like calling a broken condom birth control. It might look like it works on paper, but when it actually matters, nah. Look at this man's face. This is the face of somebody who learned real quick that in Florida, beating women comes with what I like to call a frequent flyer discount. The more you do it, the less time you get. Make it make sense. He meets his first documented victim. And when I say meets, what I really mean is he puts his hands around her throat and chokes her so hard that she ends up with a lump the size of a golf ball on her forehead. The medical report called it a 5-centimeter hematoma. For those of y'all who didn't pay attention in biology class, that means he literally rearranged this woman's skull. He caused swelling so bad that her face changed shape. The punishment, 36 days in jail. That's 5 weeks. You know what else takes 5 weeks? Waiting on your tax refund, renewing your passport, getting an Amazon package from overseas. This man nearly murdered a woman and got less time than a Netflix free trial. Girl, different woman, same little Mac. This time around, he's graduated to full-on stalking behavior, showing up at her house uninvited, messing with her security cameras like he's auditioning to be the villain in some Lifetime movie. You'd think after the first case they'd throw the book at him, right? Wrong. The sentence? 59 days. You notice how the violence is going up, but the punishment is going down. It's like the judges were playing limbo with this man's sentences. How low can we go? And this one right here is wild to me because it shows you just how bold Little Mac had become. He hits a woman in the head with an object during an argument. Just straight up whack. Like she's a piñata and he's trying to win prizes at a carnival. The sentence, 2 days. 2. I've had headaches that lasted longer than his jail sentence. Amazon Prime delivers packages slower than he got out. This man committed assault with a weapon and got less time than a long weekend. You see the pattern? Every time he hurt somebody, the punishment got lighter. It's like the judges were running a rewards program. Beat 3 women, get the 4th one half off. They were basically training him. Good job, Little Mac. Here's your participation trophy. Now go home. And before anybody jumps in the comments talking about how the system treats black men, let me just say, yeah, this man is black. So there goes that excuse. Turns out the system just doesn't give a damn about protecting women, period. Doesn't matter what color the abuser is when the victim is female. But wait, it gets worse.
Please leave. Please leave. I am not okay with this. Please leave my job. I have to go.
July 2024. Now we're getting to Shantae's part of the story. Little Mac forces his way into her home, puts her in a chokehold and kicks her multiple times. She almost loses consciousness. And when she tries to call 911, he snatches her phone right out of her hand and takes off running. There's even audio of Shantae at work after this happened, and you can hear the fear in her voice. Please leave. I am not okay with this. Please leave my job. I have to go. That's her literally begging this man to leave her alone while she's trying to work. This is after he choked her, after he violated her in her own home, and he's still hunting her down at her job like she's prey. You know what the system gave her for protection? A piece of paper, a restraining order. And let me tell you something about restraining orders. They don't stop bullets. You know what stops bullets better than a restraining order? Literally everything. A piece of cardboard, a strong breeze, thoughts and prayers, all more effective than that flimsy paper she got. He was arrested for that July assault. They charged him with domestic battery by strangulation, witness tampering, and a whole bunch of felonies. And after all of that, after his entire history of hurting women, you know what he got? 157 days. That's barely 5 months for what should have been attempted murder. Because let's be real, when you choke someone until they almost pass out, what exactly do you think the end goal is? A friendly conversation. Now here's where the story takes a turn that's uncomfortable but necessary to talk about. Shantae herself said something on her page that I need y'all to hear.
Some women, me, I'm putting myself in that category, make it okay for niggas not to be shit. By that, we'll get with somebody who we know ain't shit, right? Just go through the motions, you know, just being in our relationship because we so happy that somebody love us. But we can just love ourselves if that makes sense. Take care of the household, do what we gotta do, because in reality, we just not feeling like we housing a nigga. But in reality, we housing a nigga.
She wasn't just venting, she was building a brand off this dysfunction. All deadbeat daddy was getting views, getting shares, getting her paid. And every single episode was basically a documentary of Little Mac's failures as a father and as a human being. Was it therapeutic for her? Absolutely. Was it empowering for other women dealing with the same mess? 100%. Was it smart? Look, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you like some people will. It wasn't the smartest move. It was like poking a bear with a stick while covered in honey. But you know what else wasn't smart? The system letting that bear roam free in the first place. And this is where I need everybody watching to really lock in, because what I'm about to say might sound like I'm blaming Shantae, but I'm not. I'm blaming the system. Shantae did exactly what we tell domestic violence victims to do in 20. Document everything. Speak your truth. Build your support network. Use your platform. Break the silence. We literally encourage women to do exactly what she did. Post about it, talk about it, don't stay quiet. But here's the problem. We tell them to do all of that while knowing damn well the system won't protect them when the abuser decides to retaliate. It's like teaching somebody how to swim and then throwing them into shark-infested waters. You got this, girl. Just keep kicking. We're rooting for you. Meanwhile, the shark is circling and nobody's doing anything to stop it. October 2024, Little Mac violates the restraining order. He's calling her phone nonstop, banging on her door, full stalker mode activated. Gets arrested again, gets released again, like it's a revolving door at this point. November 2024, he breaks into her house again, assaults her again, steals her phone again. And here's the part that should make your blood boil. Prosecutors reduced the charges from a felony to a misdemeanor. Reduce them. This man is escalating faster than gas prices during a holiday weekend, and they're reducing his charges. Anyways, he pleaded guilty. Of course he did, because they caught him red-handed. The sentence, 66 days, 2 months for breaking and entering, assault and theft. I have personally seen people get more time for shoplifting a candy bar from Walmart. I said what I said. 6 days before her murder, Shantae walks into the police station and she's not just upset, she's terrified. Not those pretty tears you see in movies, but the ugly cry that comes from deep in your soul when you know something bad is about to happen and nobody can stop it. She tells the deputies that Little Mac showed up at her house 20 times in one night. 20 times, not twice, not 5 times, 20. Her doorbell camera caught all of it. Him pacing back and forth, messing with the camera, looking through windows, basically doing everything a person does right before they commit murder. And then she says something that should have changed everything. She looks those deputies dead in the eye, tears running down her face, and says, "He's going to kill me. Not I'm scared. Not I think he might hurt me." She said, "He's going to kill me." You know what they did? Issued another warrant for aggravated stalking, another piece of paper. Like this man gives a single damn about warrants. He collects them like trading cards at this point. But hey, at least they did something, right? Wrong. That same night, Shantae doesn't even go home. She can't. She flees to a hotel in Clewiston, paying for a room she probably can't afford, because her own house, the place where she should feel safest, isn't safe anymore. Meanwhile, the man who's making her life a living hell is just out there, free, probably sleeping peacefully in his own bed while she's hiding in a hotel room with her kids. Let that sit with you for a second. 11:47 p.m., 6 days after she predicted her own death, Little Mac Williams proves her right. Her oldest son is in the house playing video games when he hears it. Some reports say it was breaking glass. Others say it was the door being kicked in. Trauma has a funny way of scrambling the details, so the exact entry point doesn't really matter. What matters is what he hears next. "Where's your mama?" That's Little Mac's voice. In their house, where those babies live. The boy does exactly what he's supposed to do. He calls 911, and while he's on the phone with the dispatcher, while he's trying to explain that his mother's ex-boyfriend just broke into their home, the dispatcher hears something that no amount of training can prepare you for. A man's voice, screaming, then pops. Not one shot, not two, 12.
Now in a WPBF 25 News investigation, we take a closer look at the criminal record of the man now charged with killing his ex-girlfriend. It happened Friday night at a home in Belgrade, where officials say Little Mac Williams fatally shot Shantae Butts, a mother of 4. Another man in that home was also shot but survived. Our reporter Rachel Perry has learned the victim reported Williams for domestic battery and stalking within the last year.
Despite being found guilty of choking Shantae Butts in July of last year, court records show the most jail time Little Mac Williams served was 157 days, with each case after that carrying less time in jail. On Friday night, Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies arrested Little Mac Williams, claiming he broke into this home in Belglade before killing his ex-girlfriend, Shantae Butts. WPBF 25 News went through Williams' court records, finding several felony convictions dating back to 2014 involving at least 3 different women. The first case involving Shantae Butts, the victim in this weekend's homicide, was reported in July of 2024 when she called 911 to report Williams had forced his way into her home and choked her. He was found guilty of domestic battery by strangulation and sentenced to 157 days in jail. In October 2024, Williams served 48 days in jail for violating a no-contact order when officials say he showed up at Butts' home. A few months later, and Williams was found guilty of simple battery for breaking into Butts' home and fighting her. He served 66 days in jail. Roughly 10 days ago, Butts reported Williams was stalking her. Officials put out a warrant for his arrest, but just 6 days later, and he was arrested and charged in Butts' death.
There are frequent flyers when it comes to domestic violence, like in any other area of criminal law. The focus of the state attorney's office is to go after violent offenders and habitual offenders. And in domestic violence, that's no different.
Attorney Dave Ehrenberg can't speak to this specific case, but says domestic violence cases aren't always easy to prosecute.
It's a challenge for prosecutors to get a tough sentence for these perpetrators when their past conduct may not be admitted into the trial, although it will be considered by the court at sentencing.
Saying it's important for victims to help break the cycle.
The solution here is to continue the focus on habitual offenders, but also to help educate victims to speak up and cooperate, because there is no crime that has fewer victims participating in the prosecution than in domestic violence.
Williams is now in the Palm Beach County Jail facing charges of first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. We'll have a link to resources for victims of domestic violence on our website. In Belglade, Rachel Perry, WPBF 25 News.
You don't fire 12 rounds by accident. That's not self-defense. That's not heat of the moment. That's not the gun just went off. 12 shots is intentional. 12 shots is making absolutely sure. 12 shots is rage with the finger on the trigger. Shantae's current boyfriend, the man who was lying in bed with her, catches 1 bullet to the chest. 1. He survives. But Shantae, those other 11 rounds were meant for her, and they found their target. And those babies, Little Mac's own children, they heard every single shot. They heard their mother's last breath. They heard her die. And they're going to hear those gunshots echoing in their heads for the rest of their lives. Deputies arrive and find Shantae on her bed. The same bed where she probably tucked those kids in goodnight. The same bed where she collapsed after working 3 jobs to keep food on the table. 12 gunshot wounds. She's pronounced dead at 11:58 p.m. Didn't even make it to midnight. Didn't even get to see another day. You want to know the most pathetic part of this entire tragedy? After executing the mother of his children, the woman he claimed to have loved at some point, Little Mac Williams walks outside, lays down in the street with his hands behind his back, and waits for the police like he just clocked out of a shift at work. No car chase, no standoff, no suicide by cop attempt, just surrendered. This man had enough rage to pump 12 bullets into a woman, but didn't have enough backbone to face the consequences like the tough guy he pretended to be. Even in murder, he was small. Little Mac indeed. When detectives questioned him, you know what this genius said? He claimed he didn't know who the other man in the house was. The man in bed with his ex-girlfriend, in her bedroom, at damn near midnight. Yeah, real mystery there, Sherlock. Then, and this is where it gets insulting to everybody's intelligence, he claims he didn't actually shoot anyone. According to him, the gun just went off during a struggle. 12 times in the same direction, into the same person. The math ain't mathing, sir. The investigation itself didn't take long because there wasn't much to investigate. He broke in. Witnesses heard him. Her son called 911 while it was happening. He shot her 12 times, then he laid down and waited to get arrested. Open and shut. But here's what needs to be investigated, and pay attention because this is the part that should be illegal. Remember all those arrests I told you about earlier? Every single one of those cases had a judge attached to it. These aren't anonymous people hiding behind the system. These are real human beings with names. Public record. Judge Gregory Kaiser was the most recent one to let Little Mac walk with a slap on the wrist. And before anybody in the comments tries to say they were just following the law, let me stop you right there. No. Judges have discretion. Prosecutors have discretion. They chose leniency. They chose to reduce charges. They chose to believe that this time would be different, despite all the evidence showing them exactly who this man was. You know what the state attorney's office said after Shantae was already dead and buried? They said, and I quote, "The focus of the state attorney's office is to go after violent offenders and habitual offenders, and in domestic violence, that's no different." Here's a question that nobody wants to answer, and I mean nobody. How many women have to die before a judge loses their job? Because if I mess up a video, y'all will roast me in the comment section. These judges mess up their entire job, women end up 6 feet under, but they still cash their checks and keep their pensions. Make it make sense. Little Mac Williams is now facing first-degree murder charges. They're talking about life without parole. Possibly even the death penalty. Now they want to throw the book at him. Now they want to act tough and talk about maximum penalties and justice for Shantae. But where was all that energy when he was only almost killing women? Where was that prosecutorial fire when he was choking women and getting 36 days? When he was breaking into houses and getting 2 months? It's like they're trying to get extra credit for finally doing the bare minimum of their job. Look, we got him. Congratulations. You caught a killer after he killed someone. Real detective work there. A round of applause for doing your job after it was too late. Period. The trial hasn't happened yet as of this recording, but let's be real with the case this clear cut. He's going away forever, and he should. But that doesn't bring Shantae back. That doesn't untraumatize those 6 kids. That doesn't undo the failure of every single person in the system who could have stopped this but didn't. 6 kids. Let me say that again so it really sinks in. 6 kids. The oldest one, the boy who called 911, is going to spend the rest of his life wondering if he could have done something different. If he'd been faster, louder, braver. He's going to replay those 12 shots every single time he closes his eyes. That's not something therapy can just fix. That's a wound that never fully heals. The younger ones were found huddled together in the living room. Huddled, like baby birds trying to survive a storm they didn't understand. They're gonna grow up knowing their father murdered their mother while they were in the next room. Some of them are Little Mac's biological children. He turned his own babies into orphans because his ego couldn't handle a TikTok series. Think about that. Their whole world got destroyed. No more mom at school events, no more goodnight kisses, no more Sunday dinners. Now it's foster care. Maybe relatives taking them in, possibly getting split up. All because nobody in the system thought stopping this man was important enough. Folks in Boynton Beach held a memorial for Shantae. People who never even met her showed up. You know why? Because every woman there saw herself in her story. Every single one had either been Shantae or knew a Shantae. They understood that this could have been them. Local activists started organizing after her death, demanding stronger enforcement of domestic violence laws, pushing for harsher sentences, calling for accountability. But here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Vigils don't change laws. Hashtags don't stop bullets. And all the thoughts and prayers in the world won't bring back a mother of 6. You know what actually changes things? You, the people watching this right now, getting loud, sharing stories like this, putting pressure on your local officials, making it so uncomfortable for judges and prosecutors to fail that they have no choice but to do better. Because somewhere right now, right this second, another woman is filing her 3rd restraining order against a man with a history of violence. And the system is about to fail her too, unless we make them stop. I'm gonna leave you with something that's gonna sit heavy in your chest for a while. Shantae Butts did everything right according to the playbook we give domestic violence victims. She documented everything. She reported every incident. She got restraining orders. She fled when she needed to. She spoke up publicly. She built support systems. She worked multiple jobs to be financially independent so she wouldn't need him. She even made content to warn other women about men like him. And she's still dead. So maybe, and follow me here, maybe the problem isn't what victims do or don't do. Maybe the problem is that we keep releasing violent men with slaps on the wrist and then we act shocked when they escalate to murder. Maybe the problem is a system that values an abuser's freedom more than a victim's life. If this story made you angry, stay angry. Don't let that fire die down when you click to the next video. Subscribe to this channel if you want to keep hearing the stories that mainstream media sanitizes and waters down. Drop a comment with your thoughts, especially if you disagree with me, because I want to hear from you. And look, let me be real with y'all for a second. YouTube's algorithm hates when I talk to you like an actual human being instead of reading off some corporate script like a robot. Apparently, calling out judges by name and saying the system has blood on its hands isn't advertiser friendly. My videos get restricted, shadow banned, buried where nobody can find them. Basically, YouTube won't recommend my content because I refuse to sanitize the truth. So if this video actually told you something the news wouldn't, if you appreciate someone speaking to you like a real person instead of some polished news anchor, share this. Send it to someone who needs to hear it. Post it on your page because the algorithm won't push content like this, but you can. The only thing worse than Shantae's story is the silence that lets it happen again and again and again. And to every woman watching who sees herself in Shantae's story, your TikToks aren't the problem. Your jokes aren't the problem. Your truth isn't the problem. The system that values your abuser's freedom over your life, that's the problem. Don't ever let anyone make you think speaking up is what got her killed. What got her killed was a system that refused to protect her. Rest in power, Shantae Butts. You deserve so much better than what the justice system gave you. Your kids deserve better. Hell, even little Mac deserved better in a twisted way. Maybe if they'd actually punished him the first time he put his hands on a woman, he wouldn't be facing life in prison right now. But hey, at least all those judges got to go home safe to their families every night, right? Now, before you click off this video, I need to talk about something that's gonna make some of y'all uncomfortable. And that's exactly why we need to talk about it. When Shantae started posting about Little Mac on TikTok, making him the star of her All Deadbeat Daddy series, a lot of people had opinions. Some folks cheered her on, saying she was speaking her truth and exposing him for what he was. Other people, and be honest, you might have been one of them, said she was being messy, that she was poking the bear, that she should have just stayed quiet and kept it moving. And here's the uncomfortable part. Both groups watched her die. The people who supported her watched the system fail to protect her. The people who criticized her watched the system fail to stop him. Either way, the result was the same. A woman is dead. 6 kids are without their mother, and we're all sitting here asking how this happened. Shantae Butts was 30 years old. She had 3 businesses. She had 6 kids. She had a whole life ahead of her. She was funny, hardworking, creative, resilient. She survived abandonment as a child, built herself up from nothing, and created a life for her family. And on July 11th, 2025, at 11:58 p.m., all of that was stolen from her by a man the system refused to stop. Her kids are going to grow up without their mother. They're going to miss her at graduations, weddings, when they have kids of their own. They're going to have holes in their lives that nothing can fill. And for what? Because a man couldn't handle rejection, because judges thought 36 days was enough punishment for attempted murder, because the system values men's freedom over women's lives. Make it make sense. This is Unheard Cries TV, and we're not here to tell you comfortable stories. We're here to tell you the truth about what happens when the system fails, when abusers escalate, and when women pay with their lives for mistakes they didn't make. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to Shantae's story. Thank you for not clicking away when it got uncomfortable. Thank you for caring about a woman you never met but who represents so many women you probably do know. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this. Comment if you have thoughts, experiences, or resources to share. Share this video if you think someone needs to hear it. And most importantly, check on the women in your life today, right now. Send that text, make that call, because the next Shantae might be someone you know. And this time, maybe we can stop it before it's too late. Rest in peace, Shantae Butts. Your voice might have been silenced, but your story will be heard. We won't let them forget you.